Jur. Jur is the music store owner who appeared once early on in the series, and he reminds me of the trio that we talked about last time. That was also Most Tavern, even though he isn't based on a joke like that. However, he also serves as a good introduction to a lot of store owners who we'll be talking about, and despite having that one scene, this guy is pretty, well, somewhat recognizable for his unique appearance as well as the funny interaction he has with Homer hard timing him and trying to remember the piece that Lisa needed for her saxophone, and Homer failing it and him generally knowing and somewhat being willing to help, but Homer just keeps on frustrating him, and it sort of works out in the end almost. I mean, he gets the piece. Nina. Yes, this kid has a name and it's Nina. She is another quiet background student from Springfield Elementary. However, despite having more of like a point in voice and role, she is less recognizable than the kids with the glasses, I'd argue, just because her appearance isn't as like insane and sticks out as much. There's not much of a mystery around her. However, people do kind of like this character and wish that they would like try to focus on developing her more as opposed to just ignoring characters or giving niche, arguably unfitting roles to other characters who already have pre-established personalities and interest. But Nina has appeared in the background often, kind of like Wendell, and she, again, isn't as recognizable as him. However, she's had a lot of shared scenes, such as getting sick at the party, and her most memorable one to me is that she is the kid who bought Lisa the lion heart. Cowboy Bob. This asshole is a pinnacle season 1 and 2 weirdo, where he had one role where the Simpsons went out to the woods, and this asshole was like, oh ho ho, thank the Lord, seeing them pull up, seeing them as the suckers. Obviously, this guy is pretty much a con artist, as you can expect from any sort of cars dealership. And he sold them an RV. Then he was absent for a bit. However, he appeared later in season 2 as a hangaround where he was in Bart Gets an F. And he, for whatever reason, was one of the people that was in the crowd in the skating shot where he was holding hands with everyone else and singing and having grand old time while Bart was inside. And that, for a long time, was his last appearance. So yeah, Cowboy Bob, he really encapsulates, like, the season 1 character who it seems like they tentatively thought of sticking around, and they did for a bit in season 2, only to then completely disappear afterwards. It's an interesting thing, and there's going to be a few more people like that who are coincidentally also store owners. I don't know what the deal with that is. But yeah, there was a character recently who came back who basically is Cowboy Bob, but I mean, who is this imposter? Where's the wacky giant ears and crazy facial features? And unless if Cowboy Bob got plastic surgery or something, you're not Cowboy Bob, imposter. A stub bunch. So these guys obviously never actually appeared in an actual like episode within the plot, but they are interesting because I guess they are technically characters within the show, and they are a very notorious bunch who got a lot more recognition after that one video on Simpsons character sheets was made. And these guys appeared in the intro only for season 1. Again, they are unique to the intro. They never appeared in anything else, which is what makes them so weird. And they're a shining example of weird Simpson 1 designs, even if Cowboy Bob is probably weirder. And yeah, these guys have a notable scene that stops the intro to show them waiting for the bus, Bart taking the sign, and then them running after the bus after it passes them, and they stand together and they go together in perfect sync, and, you know, these 5, they're a crew, they're always sticking together, and we have not seen them ever since season 1 changed the intro. They are a complete relic to that. However, they are definitely a notable, weird part of Simpsons history. Benefistantiano. This awesome dude had one scene, but is such a beloved character for it. Just a solid Simpsons character, like just Stamp the Ticket Man, who really needs to get the recognition he deserves, and be in everything, and everyone loves this guy. Beneficentiato is such a kindly man who came off nowhere to the rescue and happily delivered Marge her issue of sponges and vacuums. A nice preview of everything to come, and Marge thanked him by name, hinting that these two have known each other for quite a while and are quite friendly and comfortable with each other. There's a whole entire history going on that we don't know about, and Beneficentiato is such a classic. We need to learn more about this guy. Giant-handed man. This guy had one key scene only to disappear despite how much he sticks out, where Homer had instructions written on his hand that he was trying to remember to tell Midney about how to handle their awkward relationship together, and there was a running gag where other people like Lenny passed by also doing that trick. And then we see this guy, and we get quite the lore dump, only for this person to completely disappear afterwards, where him on his giant hand wrote on it how he's sick and tired of these jokes about his giant hand, and goes on how this first happened in the 50s, but then we don't hear the rest of his story, and we never have since, as this man has disappeared into the background, not to be seen ever again. Santa Instructor and Hypnotist. So, I don't know how known this is now, ever since, someone made a post about it. It's not like it went, explode or anything. But when I first saw it, it kind of blew my mind a little bit, and I would like to share it. But the Santa Instructor, who appeared in the first episode, Simpsons Sourcing on Open Fire, he was, again, just a Season 1 weirdo who only had one scene even and didn't appear in Season 2 even. It was just gone. He was only in the first episode for this one scene. But then, in the Season 3 classic, Homer at Bat, he appeared again, and he was the guy hypnotizing them, and it's mathematically only possible to give 100%, and yeah, that's the same character. They randomly brought back this guy who was around once in Season 1, the first episode. This is such a unique case, and, this guy's always had a familiar appearance, but I'm surprised I never consciously, put this together yet, and this just gives him, this completely unique role where he was, a weirdo one-off in Season 1, was dead by Season 2 while many others made it at least that far, only to then come back post-Season 2 for one more role, and I just can't really think of anyone else like that. That's just crazy. Krusty's lawyer. Another somewhat recognizable lawyer, even though he's nowhere near on the grounds as the blue-haired lawyer. But this dude appeared in Krusty Gets Busted, where he had to develop the Forsaken Krusty, and it was quite the frustrating task as Krusty was no help at all, and this guy, I believe he's appeared afterwards with more minor appearances where he's there to try to give Krusty advice whenever he's about to do something stupid, but this guy is less notable when it comes to Krusty's crew and is usually often forgotten about. Snack Delivery Man. This powerful warrior is someone who's been working delivering snacks to the power plant and probably elsewhere for a while, as we've seen him in flashbacks before where Homer got excited seeing that the workers there do get donuts and stuff from this guy. I think the wikis list these two as different people, but they look the same and they sound the same and stuff, but this guy then is in the present where the employees try to grab the snacks from him that they're not allowed to have, and what does this guy do? He gets a chain and he easily overwhelms and fights them off and scares them off, and he's so powerful, and this guy deserves way more credit for what he does. Retirement Castle Nurse. Another very powerful, underrated Simpsons character. One of the most powerful, even if she's not quite Sideshow Raheem levels or Jub Jub. But this person works at the nursing house, as you can imagine, and she might seem dismissive and apathetic as usual. However, one time when they came to attack the place to try to kill Grandpa for burns, she told them the residents are asleep, and they didn't listen. So what did she do? she comes back with this giant automatic shotgun and reinstates, "The residents are asleep," and starts furiously fighting them off and scares them off, and like the snack guy, she deserves all the credit. Sugar Thief. One of the more funny, kooky, probably recognizable in this layer. This guy appeared when Homer got his totally legitimately obtained sugar and tried selling it, only then to take and criticize this sugar and start drinking it with this tea or whatever that was, maybe coffee. And Homer having none of it, despite this guy callously going like, "Oh, oh, oh," and then it started raining and melting off the sugar, and he couldn't take it anymore, but this is just somebody who has a one-time funny appearance and has a unique design, so yeah. Anyway, get ready for the bottom.